Morning, everyone. Welcome to new term, new topic, etc. Right, we're going to try and whiz through quite a lot of this today, and we've got quite a lot to get through this term. Okay. Right. So first of all, can we do the short date and learning objective, please? Can we, if you want to, you don't have to write all of these down. You definitely write down 1 ton is 1,000 kilograms, please. That's a metric ton. 1 hectare is 10,000 meters squared. So definitely write down those two. If you're not too sure of the others, write them down. If you know them, don't worry. So if you just write down those, please pause the video while you do that, okay? And then we'll get on with the lesson. All right. Okay, good. Right, so we're just going to go back a little bit of revision. Again, I know you'll have done this before, and for some of us it'll be really straightforward. So let's just convert metric units of measurement, okay? 493 centimeters equals how many meters? Now, when I come to do these ones, sort of some of you will be able to do these pretty instantly, and I'm happy for you to do those pretty quickly. If you're not too sure, let's just go through a few of the a few sort of reasons, a few ways of how we can do it, okay? Now we know what I like to do. If I'm not too sure, I'll write down the information that I do know. So I know 1 centimeter, 100 centimeters is 1 meter. So 493 centimeters is what? Now when I'm going from 100 to 1, you're dividing by 100, aren't I? So I just need to do the same on this side. Divide by 100. 493 divided by 100. Remember, I got the decimal point here there. I'm going to move it 2 places. So that becomes 4.93 meters. Okay, you don't need to do that if you can do it straight away. Okay, but make sure if you do it straight away, you can do it accurately. Let's have a look at 7.3 centimeters equals how many millimeters? Again, nice and straightforward. I know that 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters, and to get from 1 to 10 I times by 10. So I have to do the same here. I have to times this by 10, okay, and that will be 7.3 again, because I'm timesing by turn, moving the decimal the numbers the other way, or the decimal point, it becomes 73. Okay, another way of doing it, if 1 is 10, 7 will be 70, won't it? If 1 is 10, 7 becomes 70, so it becomes 73. Okay, I know, pretty straightforward for a lot of us. 2.73 litres equals how many millilitres? And again, okay, I'm going to set, right, 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. So to get from 1 to 1,000, I'm timesing by 1,000, aren't I? Okay, so again I have to times this by 1,000. Okay, and then remembering there would be a 0 there, etc. So if I'm timesing that by 1,000, I'm moving the decimal point 3 places to the right, aren't I? So, but again, probably the easiest way to do is 1 litre is 1,000, 2 litre is 2,000, so it becomes 2,730. Okay, I'll just do one more before you get on with these yourself, or maybe a couple more. Let's 0.08 litres equals how many milliliters? So again, I know that 1 litre equals 1,000 milliliters. Okay, so to get from there to there, times by 1,000. So I have to multiply this by 1,000. Remember, 0.00, I can put a 0 there. So I'm timesing this by 1,000. So I'm moving the numbers 3 places because there are 3 zeros. Okay, you would have been taught this, I think, in your certainly in year 6, and probably before that. So you're moving these places, or you move the decimal point depending on how you do it, 1, 2, 3 places to the right. Yep. Or the other way of thinking is 1 litre is 1,000. So this means this number here would be the hundreds, the tens, and the units. Either way, okay, if we times that by 1,000, moving the we get 80 milliliters. Okay, just a couple of those new ones. just a couple of those new ones. So 7.5 hectares is equal to how many meters squared? So I go back to what I know. I know that 1 hectare equals 10,000 meters squared. Okay, so in this case I'm going to just go, well, if I'm going from 1 to 7.5, okay, it's timesing that by 10,000. Okay, and do the same here, times it by 10,000. So if 1 hectare is 10,000, 7 will be 70,000, won't it? Okay, 70,000. Okay, so it becomes 75,000. And if I times 7.5 by 10,000, I do get 75,000. Okay, and then metric tons, 4,300 kilograms. That will equal how many metric tons? Let's have a little look. To get from kilograms to tons, I know that there's 1,000 kilograms in 1 ton. So I have to divide to get it from 1,000 to 1. I'm dividing by 1,000. Okay, dividing by 1,000. So divide this by 1,000. Okay, so I've got my decimal point there, because 1,000 has 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4.3. Okay, 4.3. And again, 1,000 is 1, 4,000 will be 4, 4.3. Right, okay, should be fairly straightforward. Okay, if you need to work them out like this, you can. If you don't need to, of course, you don't have to. Okay, so can you please, on page 181, could you please have a go at questions 2 and question 3. We will not be going over this afterwards, okay? So make sure this one gets done. Pause the video, please, and then press play when you're done. Okay, we'll move on to the next part of the lesson. Okay. Right, we're going to look at the main part of the lesson is going to be converting between they were called metric units of measurement. So metric units of measurements are fairly new. Okay, before that, it was people use different units of measurement throughout the world. Okay, the measurements we used are called imperial. We still use them today, actually. But more and more we're moving towards imperial. Metric. And imperial comes from the empire. Okay, because they were the measurements used for in the British Empire. Okay, so here we have some of the imperial measurements, and we've heard of this 1 foot. And if somebody asked me my height, I would use feet and inches. Okay, if somebody used my weight, I would use stone and pound. So we use it, sort of more often actually than we use metric. But we need to convert between the two. Can you please write down the metric, the imperial metric equivalents, please? So write these down. 1 foot is 30 centimeters, etc. 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers, and so on. Okay, we write those down. Pause the video while you do that. You really need to get these down. Okay, and then we'll go through how you convert. Okay, pause the video, then press play when you're done. Alright, so we'll look at some questions then. So, if I wanted to turn, say you had 4 foot, okay, and you want to convert that into centimeters, okay, centimeters, and actually from there you could convert it into, we won't worry about converting it into meters as well, okay. So again, this is where we need to write down what we know. We write down what we know. So we know that 1 foot is equal to 30 centimeters. And then from here we can so we've got 2 different ways of going, okay? We know we can go from 1 to 30 with timesing by 30. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. If we times 4 by 30, we get the answer, okay? There, times by 30 will give us 4 times 30 is 120. 120 centimeters, actually 1.2 meters as well. We can put it into there, can we? Okay. And in this one, it's probably equally easy either way. Another way of doing it is, again, we write down the conversion. Okay. We write down the conversion. So 1 foot is 30 centimeters here. And then we have to find how many centimeters below. And we go this way. Okay. How am I getting from the 1 to the 4? Well, I'm timesing by 4. I have to do the same on this side. Timesing by 4. 120, so 30 times 4, 120 centimeters. 1.2 meters. Okay. So you can times either way. Like I showed you earlier on with the metric conversions. We times across that way, and maybe you can times downwards as well. Okay, times downwards. And with the work we're going to be doing, moving on to ratios, it's a really important skill to be able to have. Okay, so let's have a look. 3 miles. 3 miles will equal how many kilometers? Let's find out what we know. We know that 1 mile is equal to, let me just check on my list. Yep. Is equal to 1.6 kilometers. So, looking at these numbers, I think it's probably easy to go this direction. Okay, I could go here to get from 1 to 1.6 is times 1.6, and to get from the 1 to 3 is times by 3. Okay, it's probably easier, I think, rather than do 3 times 1.6. I'm going to do so if it's to get from the 1 to 3, I'm timesing by 3. So to get the 1.6, I'm also going to times by 3. Okay, so the sum I'm going to do 1.6 times 3. Okay, if I need to do a little written method, I can. Okay, 8, carry the 1. 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 is 4. 4.8. 4.8 kilometers. Okay, and I do the same if I did 3 times, I'm going in this direction. 1 times in 1.6, 3 times in 1.6. Oh, yeah, same question, same calculation, isn't it? Okay. Right, let's look at another one. Right, 11 pounds. 11 pounds equals how many kilograms? Now I know that 2.2 pounds, it's just the is 1 kilogram. So again, if I want to go from here to here, let's go this direction first, there to there. That would be dividing by 2.2. Okay, so I could do 11 divided by 2.2, which yeah, that'd be all right to do. Okay, we have a method of doing that. So 11 to get to there. So it's 11 divided by 2.2. 11 divided by 2.2. Now what I want to do, I want to multiply this by 10 to make it 22, don't I? And then therefore I have to multiply this by 10 to make it 110. So it gets a little bit tricky that way. Okay. Or I can say, how am I getting from 2.2 to 2.2 to 11? Stop the light coming in a second. From 2.2 to 11. Okay, here, and I'm working out in my head, I can times that by 5. Okay, so that's probably the easiest one in this way. Okay, you're timesing it by 5. Okay, so either way, I have to find the relationship between them. 3 pints. 3 pints equals how many litres? Okay, I know the 1 pint equals 1.75. So again, to get from there to there, I'm going to times by 3. Times by 3. 1.75 times 3. 5 carry the 1, 7, 21 and 1 is 22. Okay, 5.25 litres. Okay, so as long as we do working downwards, multiplying by the same, or again I could times that by 1.75. Okay, and again you get the same quest there. You go 3 times 1.75 gives you the same answer. And then you get the same with sort of when you go fraction proportions of it. So let's have a little look. So we've got 1 gallon. Let's just have a look at it. Okay, so half a gallon equals how many litres? Now again, looking back at my notes, I can know that 1 gallon equals 4.5 litres. And to get from 1 gallon to a half a gallon, we're obviously divided by 2. I'm halving it, aren't I? I'm halving it, so I halve this, half of 2, so we get 2.25. Okay. If I wanted to find a quarter of a foot, is how many centimeters? I know 1 foot is equal to 30 centimeters. So to get from 1 to a quarter, I'm dividing by 4, aren't I? Dividing by 4 will give me a quarter. Okay, so I do the same to this side, divided by 4. Okay, find a quarter of it. Dividing by 4 is the same as finding a quarter of something. Halve it again, 7.5 centimeters. 1.5 miles equals how many kilometers? So I know 1 mile. 1 mile is equal to 1.6. 1.6, okay. So to get from a mile to a kilometer, you times by 1.6. Okay, or I can do it here to get from 1 to 1.5. I'm timesing by 1.5. Okay, and this is the easiest way to go, isn't it? By timesing 1.5 is easier than timesing by 1.6. So, although in dip you end up doing the same thing really. 1.5 times 1.6 times 1.5. 1.5. Okay, so I can times it by 1. Okay. If I times it by 1, I get 1.6. If I times it by half, I get 0.8. And you can just sort of, it might take a little bit of time to work some of these out. Just go through a bit quickly. It becomes 2.4 kilometers. Okay. So sometimes a little bit of, sometimes some of the calculations can be a little bit trickier. Let's do one more. 200 milliliters equals how many pints? How many pints? So again, I know that 1 liter equals 1.75 pints, doesn't it? Okay, and I know 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. So 1,000 milliliters equals that. Okay, so again, to get from 1,000 to 200, I'm dividing by 5. So I do the same here. Divide by 5. 1.75 divided by 5. 0. Carry the 1. 3. Carry the 2. Okay, so it becomes 0.35 of a pint. Is that right? Yeah, okay. Right, so could you please have a go at, in fact, I'll just put it on here actually. Oh no, could you have a go at questions, question 7 on page 182, please. Question 7 on page 182. When you get to question E, I'm happy for you to ignore it. I think they've made a mistake with the question because otherwise it's very tricky. Okay, but you can have a go of it if you want. Right, could you have a go at those? Please pause the video and then we'll just finish off the lesson when you've done those, okay? Right, okay, so let's, what I'd like us to finish off now, Hopefully that's not too tricky. Hopefully we're okay with those. The trick with any of these, you have to apply them to real life. We don't get, because we've had to sort of rush through a little bit this year. We haven't had a huge amount of chance to do sort of too much problem solving. I'd like to have done more. So can you now apply your knowledge to these questions, please? Okay. So question. These are the main parts. Okay. Everyone needs to try and have a go at doing these and get as far as they can, and then there's the extension questions afterwards. Okay. And then we'll move on to ratios tomorrow. Okay. Right. Good luck with that. Bye.